So we want to talk about breaking your habits one bite at a time tonight. And starting this with this is, has ever anybody of us here, however you join on YouTube or on Zoom, that you have made a decision, enough is enough, something got to change, and you make this big decision to change something in your life? Could be you're going to get fit now, or you're going to lose weight, or you want to stop smoking, or ditch another habit, and you are very resolute about this, and you are going for it. And then it just takes usually very little time, maybe days, and then you fall back into your old habits, or at least you're struggling, and it takes a lot of effort to pull yourself through your resolve to keep going with what you have decided. And it makes it really heavy and difficult. And very often, at least this is how it is for me, and just want to let another person in, how it is for me, that I'm feeling like a failure. I mean, I know I should do this. It is absolutely logical. It makes complete sense. And then it is so terribly difficult, and that I give up. Um, and and the problem with that is that I don't really want to face that same issue again, because that then invites another failure. And whew, that doesn't make me feel very good about myself. So, does this ring a bell with you? It's always good when we have these talks, any of these kind of talks, that you reflect this within yourself, because if it's a felt experience, then your understanding is much bigger than when it's just a mental exercise. So, when was your last time you made a decision to make a big change in your life, or maybe not even such a big one, and it lasted for a little while, and then you fell back into the old ways? And the thing is, it's not even that we lack willpower or self-discipline. Some of us have a big amount of self-discipline and willpower, but maybe the weight of that just becomes so heavy, and then a slight distraction and our resolve just crumbles, and we're back to square one. And that is what we want to talk about tonight. How can we overcome that? One of the ways to understand this differently, because we usually look to change the outcome instead of the mechanism that has created the actual thing that we want to change. So that's what we're going to dive into. And I hope that is, if it's new to you, wow, then it might change your whole perspective of how you see your issues or your problems. And for our hypnosis practitioners that so beautifully join us, it is something that you know, so it's a wonderful refresher in that way. So let's look at this. Let's look at how we're breaking these habits one bite at a time. So, what are these decisions that we sometimes make? I mean, the examples that can come up with is, I need to lose weight. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to go on this diet, and I'm going to starve myself. Or these fashion diets that come up. I will try this, or I will try those wonder pills, or whatever it may be. But for me, when it's a weight problem, well, then I have to lose weight. That seems to be what I need to do. It makes complete sense. It's completely logic. If smoking is an issue for me, well, then I have to quit smoking. Or if I feel unfit, well, then I might have more options depending on my personality. But maybe I decide I've got to run, I don't know, 10 kilometers 3 times a week. That's what I've got to do to keep fit or to become fit. And here is where these things can go wrong. Because what happens in our conscious mind makes absolute sense. Our conscious mind loves those big goals. It's new challenge. It's something we want to achieve. We're gonna feel great. We can even picture ourselves maybe even having achieved these things. But then there is, and that's what it's always about when you talk to us, because we primarily work with the subconscious mind. And that's what actually is the big director in the background that has sometimes very different ideas than our logical, analytical, conscious mind. So while the conscious mind might totally support the idea, might even come up with the idea of the change, our subconscious mind works differently. It works in patterns. So let me explain that. So the conscious mind has these ideas, plans, and visions. It really is able to imagine the whole change, the outcome, the future at once.
Hey, apartment
Yeah?
therapy. My name is Celeste, and welcome to my.
Somebody is not muted. Uh, I've done that now. Um, but the subconscious mind works very differently. See, the subconscious mind has all these patterns and all these programs that run in the background. And and these patterns are made up of emotional habits or automatic reactions, routines, and the subconscious mind is very habitual. And when something is in place, this is how we're going to do it. Very often, these programs even have a reason to be. For example, it's safe. It keeps us safe. So why would we change something that is, first of all, habitual and keeps us safe? So while the conscious mind then says, tomorrow I'm going to implement this change, their subconscious mind will probably say, no, 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 I'm just going to repeat what we know. And that's where the issue lies. I hope you can follow me with this. And that's it's a conflict. And most people are not aware of this incredible power that the subconscious mind holds over us, that it actually really runs the show. The conscious mind would like to, and it comes across very often as being so powerful because it has these grand ideas, but it really is the subconscious mind that runs it, and it loves to repeat the patterns. So, can you see now when we make a big goal that we want to change and we want to do it all at once, the subconscious mind pulls you right back into the old pattern. And that now proves to you that it isn't the willpower or the self-discipline. It is these powerful patterns that are stronger than your thinking, your mental activity in terms of this is the right decision for me. And so your grand idea of having a different life collapses depending how embedded these patterns are and how positive, how beneficial they are for us. Because then the subconscious mind really digs its heels in and says, can't do that. You want to get fit and you want to run marathons. That's not safe. We're not going to do that. And then you wonder when it is time to put your running shoes on, why you find so many excuses not to do that and push and pull yourselves um, to go anyway. And it becomes harder and harder until you give up. And it's that failure that we then add to the heap. And that is so demoralizing. It is really not nice. So, what if there is a different way? What if we can work with the subconscious, even if we're not hypnotherapists, and we actually can break down these issues or problems that we have and and in a way kind of tackle what's lying underneath. I want to give you a metaphor, so to speak. I mean, if your car refuses to start, for example, you're not going to go replace the engine or throw the car away. Right? You're gonna check the smaller things, is it the starter or the battery or the wiring? And so you see what incidences, what little things build up to why my car is not starting. And for those that have no clue about cars, if we go into the kitchen and let's say we want to bake a cake, and we take the cake out of the oven and it's collapsed. It didn't work. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't necessarily throw the cake away or the oven away. I would look at what ingredients did I not use properly? Was it the temperature of the oven? Did I use enough baking powder? Um, but there is no reason, how do we say, to throw the bath out with a kid. So I hope these metaphors kind of give you an idea, um, as simple as they are, that what we perceive as being our issue can be, I don't want to say broken down, but can be seen as puzzle pieces fitting together to make up our what we regard as a challenge in our life. Okay, so the issue then, if we go with that, is not the big problem. We want to understand what's lying underneath. And now here I'm sharing now the secret with you that we as hypnosis practitioners, of course, know. And it is one of the very first things when our clients come to us that we have to discuss with them, because we understand this and we now need to extract this information from our client. And you could, if you have an issue in your mind, go through this process yourself right now, you know? So we call it in our language, we call it a category problem versus the specifics of this problem. And that could be anything. The category problem can be absolutely anything. Weight, stress, procrastination, anxiety, overthinking, habits, it doesn't matter. All right. So, whatever you have in mind, maybe zoom in on it a little bit, and then let's evaluate it a little bit, which of course you have to do in your own mind, right? And the metaphor, here's another metaphor that I like to use to make that very clear. Think of a table. And let's say the tabletop represents the category problem, the issue, that aspect in your life that you don't want to have anymore, right? So let's say weight. You have a weight issue, right? And now we want to undefine what are the support beams, what are the legs of the table that keeps the tabletop up. Because if there were no legs on the table, there wouldn't be a table. The tabletop would completely collapse. I'm sure that makes sense to you. So, and sometimes this is very easy and very straightforward to find out, and sometimes it's a little bit deeper. But here I want to tell you a story of a client who came to me because he had this weight issues, and he revealed to me that um, he eats healthy all day. He can't actually understand why he has a weight problem. And digging a little bit deeper, he said, yeah, but when I wake up at night, then I go and binge eat. And that happens very often. So if you hear that, what is now the issue? Yes, it's the weight, but what keeps the tabletop up is the leg underneath of waking up in the middle of the night. So what do you want to work on? Now this person goes, let's go to the beginning of when I started speaking. This person says, I'm going to go on this expensive diet, or I'm joining a gym, or I'm taking this expensive supplement, or whatever it may mean. But what keeps the problem afloat isn't addressed. In other words, this person, this client of mine, when the sleeping problem or the waking up at night problem is addressed and solved, in this case, with this person, it could probably mean that the weight problem will be not there anymore. And this is the secret that we want to share. And I wonder whether Brigitte also has an example for us so that you have a second one. Because when you look at your issue that you have repeatedly not been able to address successful, and you look at it, see it as a tabletop, and then do some self-inquiry and see what mechanism, what support beams are there that actually make my issue being alive. If there weren't there, I wouldn't have an issue. And it's a very different way of thinking of our problems than just looking at the surface matter. Yeah? Brigitte, did you have a client recently that was giving you a story that you could give as an example?
Yeah, sure. So the other day I had a client come in, and so obviously one of the first questions we normally ask is, so in a word or a sentence, how can we help you today, or how come you are here? And the client says to me, well, I'm really very dissatisfied with my work. I'm not happy in my job. I'm not enjoying it 100%, not happy at all. So my next question was obviously to her. I asked, so what exactly are you dissatisfied with? And the answer she came out with was that she was dissatisfied with the boss because the boss was, well, the kind of work that she was doing, telemarketing. So, the pressures of the job, the deadlines, the targets. And when targets and deadlines weren't met, the boss wouldn't be a very nice person, would actually become very, very demanding or a little aggro. And this put the client under extra pressure, which caused a lot of anxiety. So there we already have, just in two sentences, the anxiety as one of the little pillars that's holding up the dissatisfaction in the job and in the work. And obviously we inquired a little bit more, and I said to her, okay, so how come, this is a problem for you? What is this? How did you do this anxiety? And she says, underneath the anxiety is also this little bit of communication. She can't find it within herself to communicate or express to the boss that his actions are causing this anxiety inside of her. And she would actually prefer a job where, or the division in the company where there is more interaction with the people, as opposed to these deadlines speaking. Cold calling is not an easy job. I mean, let's face it, it's not one of the easiest things in the world. So I can get that and understand it. And so then we had another pillar. So she had these two pillars, not being able to communicate and not being a and having this anxiety with the boss that's holding up this dissatisfaction in the job. And it was very interesting when we started what we call in our terminology chunking down or looking deeper into the issue. That so obviously my next question was kind of which of these pillars do we tackle first, right? Where do we get most value or bang for your buck in terms of dealing with the issue to help you resolve that? So looking at the anxiety, because if she was feeling less anxiety and more calm, then she would obviously be able to communicate a little bit better, to be able to express her likes and dislikes, and be able to communicate better job options and things. So it was really very interesting for me how people they always look at the surface of the issue and the problem and get stuck in this monotony of, oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I need to do this, or I just need to quit my job. And then, bang with all of so it's all that conscious mind interference that is very, very interesting. And seldom we look at, okay, so how come this is a problem? How come this is affecting me? How does it affect me? How does it cause a problem in my life? So asking these kinds of questions, even with those little small things, if you're starting with the small things to get practiced with it, and looking a little bit at those support beams to be able to resolve those, because if we collapse that, then like you said, the whole tabletop collapses, and we can find enjoyment with our job, or lose the weight, or follow a diet, or wake up in the morning and go do the jogging or the gym or whatever it is. So I hope that helps, that example kind of puts it in perspective.
Perfect. It's perfect. It's a perfect example. And I hope this makes it a little bit clearer for those listeners and viewers that have never thought in those terms, because before I learned the incredible techniques of hypnosis practices, I didn't know to look at life and at issues in a way like this, but it makes complete sense, you know? So when we, and the beauty of it is, now this could be, you might have a table with 4 legs, you might have a table with 3 legs or with 6 legs, or you might have a bar table with 1 leg that only keeps the issue up in active. And the thing is, if it has more aspects, support beams, let's call it that, and you intuitive decide, I want to start with this one, there is usually a cross, how could I call that, a cross feeding amongst the other support beams. So when the one is being, I don't want to say tackled, but addressed, and something is done about it, it very often softens the other beams as well. So it's absolutely okay to go with your intuitive, oh, I want to start with this aspect. Like this lady, your client that says, I need to quit my job, but I can't do it because it's too dangerous. What if I don't find another one and I need to pay my bills? But that's what the conscious mind saw. I need to quit my job. And just very, very little questioning comes out, oh yeah, it's because I'm anxious speaking to my boss. And the other thing is that the role, the position I hold in this company is actually not really that satisfying. And now we can look whether we can deal with those underlying aspects, like the person who gets up at night to eat, and that adds to the weight problem, when the person doesn't need to get up at night, whatever those reasons are. Well, then there is no binge eating, and that will not be adding to the weight. And if this person is otherwise eating healthy, then the body image should go back to what it's supposed to be in due course. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Brigitte or Arno?
Yeah, I like to always give my clients the analogy of like a domino. So what would be the first domino that we actually just touch, just a little bit, because then they feed into the other. And like you said, it's almost like this softening that happens, and it's like those dominoes just falling down into place, so that the
Yeah,
whole entire system collapses on top of each other, and the issue resolves. And finding those little dominoes, and then finding which of those ones would have most value or impact in being able to collapse the pattern, if that makes sense to you. So I quite like to
absolutely.
use that kind of analogy, and that's what we're looking for as hypnotherapists. But if we're doing this kind of work for ourselves, being able to get to that specifics, then it makes the whole therapy process a little bit easier, because you
Mm,
know then which way to go. Do I go to that person? Do I go to a hypnotherapist? Do I go to a Reiki specialist? Do I go for another course? Do I add skill
mm,
sets to my skill set so that I can transition and change within the company? So it gives you a little
mm.
bit, it opens the doorway, so that we're not
Yeah,
blinkerly looking at the issue or the problem. And because that's what the conscious mind does, it almost puts these little perceptual filters on, and all we can see
mm,
is the problem and how to resolve it in the only way that we know how. But when we invite the subconscious mind into the equation, and we understand the patterning behind it, it gives us so many more open doors of possibility and opportunity. And I think that that is a very valuable skill set to learn, for not only your own self-improvement, but for questioning everyday, people, problems, their lives as well. So I think that's quite nice. Yeah. So that's all I have to say
yeah.
for that.
It's almost like the conscious mind is a bit of a bully, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
it makes a decision and it doesn't care about what actually created the problem and what keeps it alive. It sees beautifully an outcome,
Mm,
how we want to be, and that's where the bully comes in, just goes ahead or wants to go ahead, achieve this, completely ignoring the reins that the subconscious is holding and pulling it back. And if we don't know this, and if you walk away just with this understanding to tonight, this can be such a relief for you that there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't, you have ignored, or you haven't looked at, or you haven't discovered yet what support beam is there in the subconscious that will pull the conscious mind back and say,
mm,
no, you can think whatever you want and you can try as hard as you may, but my patterning, my program or beliefs or whatever it is, this is the way it is. And unless I know very sure that my that we will be safe and that it is beneficial, I'm not going to move an inch. And then we wonder why it is so hard to affect these changes to a degree that we think we are a failure. I don't know how in my life before I discovered this incredible modality, I remember having these kind of thoughts. And now that I know that and I want to achieve something in my life, I straight away look at, what's holding me back? What are the underlying motivations, submodalities, some call it, that I can rather work with to make the overall goal so much more achievable. Sometimes it's no effort at all when the legs underneath are being taken care of. Yeah.
exactly.
So what I would like to do is, seeing that we started very late because of the technical issues, that we have a little session, which we always do, so that you have maximum benefit, to explore this for yourself a little bit deeper, and maybe reach some incredible insights. And It's not going to be very long, maybe 10, 12, 13 minutes. I haven't properly timed it. And I know that Arno sent out a little demystifying hypnosis video. But Arno, do you want to just in preparation for that say something still about our little hypnosis session?
Claudia, I'm all good. I think it's all in that video, so it's covered. And I'm sure everybody is so excited to experience. So from my side, we can go for it.
Good. Right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I would invite you. I just want to check here that everybody's microphone is off, at least on Zoom. It seems like that. And I invite you to just, in your chair there where you are, make yourself as comfortable as you possibly can. So shift that body in the chair. I would assume that's where you're sitting, or the sofa, or whatever it is. Lean back, and a good way of really connecting with yourself is by starting to eliminating some of the senses, and the easiest one would be to close your eyes, because there's so much stimulation coming in through our eyes, and you've got all these pictures in front of you of all these people and all these names, and so you know that you're in a group of people that all have the same intent here, to learn something important about themselves. And maybe with your eyes closed, or maybe a soft gaze in front of you, just take in your surrounding. If there's anything else that you can think of, so that you have the next few minutes undisturbed, then perhaps put it into place. And then it would be a very good idea to take a few deep, wonderful breaths. Breathing really deeply in, holding for a moment, and then let out that long, long exhalation, and notice what that does almost immediately. And keep on breathing like this for a little while, very aware, very conscious about your breath. And there's two things that happen when we, especially when we breathe long and deep. The one thing is that we're telling our nervous system that our circumstances are safe. So it puts all our internal systems in rest mode. And maybe it's my imagination, but I certainly can sense that virtually immediately when I observe what happens when I take a very, very slow, deep breath. And seeing that your microphone is off, you might as well do that again and go really deep, and then sigh it out as if the whole day and all the stuff that you accumulated today, and maybe even from before, can just glide off you, so that you can be completely unencumbered for the next short little while. And your conscious mind, which we're so grateful for, with all its wonderful ideas, it can think, it can do whatever it would like, but we ask it kindly to just, behind the scenes, let us do what we would like to do. And we would like to retreat we would like to retreat, maybe with every breath, a little bit deeper into our own inner world. And to make this more attractive, almost irresistible, why not imagine an absolute magnificent image or picture or video of a memory or a fantasy of where you would like to be right now, where you can relax, you feel at ease, you're calm, and all of the surrounding is supporting you. And just lean back in that environment. Whatever it may be that serves you well, whether it is out in nature or in a favorite space anywhere else, in your mind, you have the freedom to do anything instantly. So spoil yourself and make that environment absolutely wonderful for you. And notice how everything inside of you reacts to that with more calmness, more gentleness, how things are softening. And if you feel that would be good for you, you could even put like a safety bubble around you so that you can really relax there inside and keep anything that is unwanted out there. And inside, you can just connect more and more and more to yourself and have this wonderful opportunity for reflection. And perhaps this is a good time to bring to mind one of those things that you really would like to change in your life. And just bring it to mind easily. This time, the way we have talked about it, there's no urgency, there's no feeling of that you have failed anything. You just look at it. And maybe it helps you to see it on the tabletop, and you see slowly as you zoom in, what is it that keeps this issue alive? Take your time with that. What are you doing? What circumstances are there? What habits or patterns, thoughts, feelings? What is it that is reoccurring that is a major contributor to keep your issue, your problem, your challenge alive? And there's no judgment here. It's just an investigation. And it could very well be that, especially when you've never done something like this before, that you might be quite surprised what your mind presents you with. And you will know the truth. You might even find something that you never see connected to the presenting problem before. And there might be a few or just one. Like, if that weren't there, what would happen to my issue? That's a good question to ask yourself to find out what it could be. And now imagine that you would allow this, what supports the problem, to soften. Maybe you instinctively know exactly what a kind of actions to include or not to do anymore. And as this is a contributing factor that would then soften the overall issue. And just imagine you would allow yourself to do this. There is a possibility that you see this whole thing crumbling, or the dominoes starting to get into movement. And if you haven't yet, let your mind show you one practical thing you could do in your real life that would soften the support even further. It might be very small, but realistic and doable. An action, a boundary, perhaps. A gentle shift in your routine. Or simply giving yourself permission to respond differently in that one moment. Whatever comes first in your mind is perfect. And now imagine yourself moving through your day or days with this support beam of the issue softening more and more. Perhaps it is not an entirely different life, but certainly different around this one aspect. Feel that. It's very possible that there is a sense of relief connected to that. And allow yourself to experience that. And if you wish, you could even present this to your wonderful conscious mind, so that your conscious mind is also part of the understanding that this is how a big change is best started. And then, just because you can, why don't you take yourself further into the future when this support has completely softened, possibly doesn't even exist anymore, and all the other supports, if there were any, have done the same, and the issue is just dissipating, crumbling all by itself, and you emerge as a winner because you knew where to start. So hold this feeling, hold the images, and gently bring them back with you into the here and now where you are sitting in this chair. listening to my voice. Maybe start wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers. Maybe with a big stretch. And opening your eyes, bringing all these insights with you. And maybe it's a good idea to write down in a moment what it is that came up for you. What is that support beam that holds that behavior or habit up that you don't want to have in your life? And what can you do to soften it and make a decision to rather work on that and see how successful you can be when you start tackling those aspects instead of running against the wall with the big overall concept. Welcome back. So if this resonated with you, wonderful. If you found your solution even better, then it's just about implementing it and going ahead and change your life one little support beam at a time. Yeah. Maybe you need to repeat the process because there wasn't enough time for you to go deeply into the matter. Or if you think it is rather complex, well, that's why we have a whole network of fantastic hypnosis practitioners who all know this process. And this is basically how every hypnosis session starts, to find out what are the specifics of the overall problem. And then there's some other options, and I think Arno will come in on this in a second. You can also really learn the tools of the trade by attending the self-mastery through auto-hypnosis, because a lot of insights that will be with you for life are being shared on that. And of course, if you think that these kind of secrets are so valuable that you want to know more of them, yeah, well, we have these training courses and you might consider those. Yeah, thank you for listening. I was very happy to share this with you. And I wonder, Arno, whether you want to talk a little bit about future dates or you have anything to add.
Thank you, Claudia. That was amazing. I love it. I love it. Right. So self-mastery, we've got 2 more self-masteries for the year coming up on the 6th of December on both Cape Town and Joburg. And there's still space, although the Cape Town one is almost full. So if you would like to join us, let me know ASAP. Then in terms of intakes or CC1 courses, they're coming up next year in Joburg in Feb and Cape Town in March. And although it still seems quite far away, if you would like to join us and also start relaxing for a living, then have a look, because those CC1 courses often books full. So I recommend that you get your booking in ASAP if you to make sure you have a seat. Yeah, that's it from me. Keep an eye on the WhatsApp groups. Obviously, we are already thinking of a next event, though at this point, it'll probably be in Jan. I haven't discussed with Claudia yet, but it makes sense to give you guys and girls a month or so to practice these skills. And yeah, it's also a little bit of a celebration for us, because it's now been 2 years that we have been presenting these online events. And I'm not even sure how many, I think about 18 or so events. And it's just been incredible. And I get a lot of feedback and messages from people saying things like, these have changed my life. I can't wait for the next event. And, people saying things like, they can't believe we're giving something this valuable away for free. And it's just our way of giving back at the Institute. Having been teaching for more than 25 years, we feel we want to share it with the world and create more awareness and, just spread this amazing modality all over. In any case, that's it from me.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful evening, and then, we catch up soon.
Fantastic, Arno. I don't think I have to add anything. This is not a forum for question and answers, unfortunately. But until we see you all again, what is it? Have a good festive season and come well into the new year, and all the best. Good night.